4 Habits of Women Who Always Attract the Best Men. 4 Habits of Women Who Always Attract the Best Men. There's something magnetic about a woman who truly knows who she is. She doesn't chase. She doesn't compete. She doesn't beg for attention. She simply is. Her presence speaks before her words do. The kind of woman who attracts the best men isn't playing games. She's mastered the art of self-respect. Her energy communicates boundaries without her having to say a word. She's not trying to prove her worth to anyone because she already knows she is the worth. She walks into a room with grace and confidence, and that energy alone separates her from the rest. The first habit of these women is that they know their value and never negotiate it. They don't tolerate inconsistency, half-hearted love, or empty promises. They're not impressed by charm alone. They pay attention to consistency, effort, and emotional safety. They understand that their time and energy are investments, and they don't offer them where there's no return. These women know that the right man will see their worth without needing to be reminded of it. She doesn't chase, she attracts, because her self-assurance silently communicates, "I am the prize." Her confidence doesn't come from how many people admire her. It comes from how deeply she respects herself. The second habit is emotional discipline. This woman has mastered her emotions. She doesn't explode, overreact, or lose herself in chaos. She knows the power of silence. She understands that not every message needs a reply, not every insult deserves an answer, and not every feeling should be acted upon. Emotional control is her superpower. It gives her peace, clarity, and strength. When she's angry, she doesn't lash out, she reflects. When she's hurt, she doesn't seek revenge, she seeks understanding. Her calm composure draws in the kind of man who respects stability over drama. The best men are not searching for perfection. They're searching for peace. And she is peace. The third habit is that she keeps her standards high, even when she's alone. She refuses to settle for potential when she deserves effort. She knows that solitude is not punishment, it's preparation. She would rather be single and fulfilled than attached and drained. This woman understands that being alone can be the most empowering chapter of her life because it's where she builds self-trust, emotional independence, and spiritual strength. Her standards are not walls to keep love out, they're filters to protect her peace. She doesn't wait for someone to bring her happiness. She creates it herself. She's not waiting to be chosen, she's choosing herself daily. And that energy attracts the kind of man who chooses her back with equal intention. The fourth habit is that she inspires, not competes. She doesn't feel the need to prove she's better than other women. She celebrates other women because she's confident in her own lane. She knows that true feminine power isn't about dominance, it's about presence. She radiates warmth, grace, and authenticity. She focuses on becoming the best version of herself, learning, evolving, growing, and that evolution is what makes her so captivating. Her energy is soft but strong, gentle but firm. She knows that the most powerful thing a woman can be is herself. She inspires the best men not through perfection, but through presence. And finally, the most beautiful habit of all, she moves with purpose, not desperation. She's not seeking love to complete her. She's seeking to build a life that love naturally fits into. She's busy creating, healing, growing, and fulfilling her purpose. She understands that the best relationships are built when two whole people come together, not two broken ones trying to fix each other. Her life has direction, her dreams have meaning, and her energy has intention. When love finds her, it's not because she chased it. It's because she became the kind of woman who naturally attracts it. The truth is, women who attract the best men are not focused on the men at all. They're focused on themselves, on their growth, their standards, and their peace. They don't need to convince anyone of their worth because their energy already says it all. They don't settle, they don't beg, and they don't chase. They align, they build, they evolve. And because of that, they attract partners who see them, respect them, and rise to meet them. The best men are drawn to women who know who they are. Not because they're perfect, but because they're real. So if you want to attract the best, don't focus on being wanted. Focus on being worthy of your own love, your own peace, your own standard. Because when a woman steps into her power, the right man will recognize it, not because she demands it, but because she embodies it. The best men don't come to fix a woman, they come to build with her. And that kind of love only finds a woman who already knows she's enough. She knows her value and never negotiates it. There's a certain power in a woman who knows exactly who she is. You can see it in her walk, her eyes, and the way she carries herself. She doesn't seek validation from others because she's already validated herself. She doesn't chase attention because she's too busy creating meaning. A woman who knows her value moves differently. She doesn't compete. She doesn't prove. She doesn't beg. She understands that what's meant for her will recognize her worth and rise to meet her, not make her question herself. Her confidence isn't loud or arrogant. It's calm, grounded, and deeply rooted in self-awareness. She knows that her love, her loyalty, and her energy are sacred, and not everyone deserves access to that. This kind of woman doesn't settle for almost. She doesn't accept half, effort, or inconsistency because she's learned that accepting less than she deserves is a form of self-betrayal. She understands that every time she tolerates something that doesn't align with her worth, she sends a message to the universe about what she believes she deserves, and so she stops settling for mixed signals, empty words, or temporary attention. Instead, she waits for alignment, because she knows the right man won't make her question her value. He'll make her feel seen, respected, and safe. A woman who knows her worth doesn't chase relationships out of loneliness. She's learned that being alone is better than being misunderstood. She doesn't need someone to fill a void because she's already filled her life with purpose, peace, and passion. She's not desperate for love. She is love. Her presence radiates security, grace, and calmness. She doesn't measure her value by how many people desire her. She measures it by how deeply she respects herself. Her confidence is not built on attention. It's built on alignment. You'll never find her begging someone to stay, explaining her worth, or proving why she deserves love. She's not auditioning for anyone's affection. She's not here to convince anyone to choose her. She knows that the right man doesn't need to be persuaded. He'll simply recognize her energy. And that's the thing about a woman who knows her worth. She doesn't compete for a seat at anyone's table, because she's already building her own. She knows that begging for love always ends in heartbreak, but standing firm in self-respect always attracts the right energy. She's learned through experience that not everyone who comes into her life deserves to stay. Some people are lessons, not losses. And every time she walks away from what doesn't serve her, she rises a little higher. Her boundaries are not barriers, they're self-respect in action. She's not guarded, but she's selective. She knows her peace is too valuable to hand over to someone who brings confusion. She understands that love is not meant to drain her, it's meant to grow her. And because she honors herself, she naturally attracts men who honor her too. A woman who knows her worth no longer accepts breadcrumbs of affection and calls it love. She's no longer impressed by effort that only comes when she pulls away. She no longer mistakes attention for intention. She knows the difference between being wanted and being valued. She's not drawn to empty words or grand gestures without consistency. She pays attention to patterns, effort, and respect. Because she's learned that love without respect is manipulation, and attention without consistency is chaos. When a woman reaches this level of awareness, her energy shifts. She's no longer easily swayed by charm or flattery, because she's looking for substance, not surface. She's not asking, "Does he like me?" She's asking, "Does he add peace to my life?" That's the power of knowing your value. You stop chasing chemistry and start demanding compatibility. You stop settling for temporary validation and start expecting permanent respect. You stop trying to prove you're enough, because you already know you are. This woman carries herself with quiet confidence. She's not trying to be the loudest in the room. Her energy speaks before she does. People feel her presence because it's grounded. She's the kind of woman who doesn't just attract love. She attracts respect, opportunities, and admiration. Why? Because she's aligned with her worth. The world responds to how you see yourself, and she sees herself as worthy of the best. She doesn't shrink herself to make others comfortable. She doesn't chase people. She attracts peace. She knows that her value isn't measured by her relationship status, her beauty, or her achievements. It's measured by how deeply she honors herself, and that's her secret power. She knows she's not for everyone, and she's perfectly okay with that. The right man will feel her energy and know he's in the presence of something rare. He'll treat her with care, respect, and intention, not because she demands it, but because her energy naturally commands it. So if you want to attract the best kind of love, start by becoming the kind of woman who doesn't need to convince anyone of her worth. Love yourself so fully that you stop accepting half-hearted energy. Set your boundaries with grace. Honor your peace above your loneliness. Because the truth is, when you know your value, you become magnetic. You stop chasing love and start attracting alignment. You stop asking for respect and start receiving it effortlessly. A woman who knows her value doesn't fear being alone. She fears losing herself for the wrong person. She doesn't crave attention. She craves peace. And she doesn't settle for potential. She waits for effort. That's the woman who attracts the best men, because she's already become the best version of herself. Her energy is her introduction, her standards are her protection, and her self-respect is her crown. And that right there is what makes her truly unforgettable. She has emotional discipline. Not every feeling gets a reaction. There is an undeniable strength in a woman who has mastered her emotions. She's not cold, and she's not detached. She's composed. She's learned the difference between reacting and responding. She understands that not every emotion deserves an audience, and not every provocation deserves a reply. The woman who always attracts the best men isn't the one who never feels pain. She's the one who knows how to feel it without letting it destroy her peace. She's not afraid to be vulnerable, but she's wise enough to know when to protect her energy. She's felt chaos before, but she's chosen calm. She's learned that control over her emotions doesn't mean suppression. It means awareness. A woman with emotional discipline doesn't allow her temporary feelings to cause permanent damage. She doesn't send impulsive messages she'll later regret. And she doesn't engage in arguments just to prove a point. She knows that silence can be more powerful than words. She understands that peace is not given, it's created, moment by moment, through conscious choices. This woman doesn't run from her emotions. She observes them, understands them, and channels them with grace. That's why she's magnetic, because her energy feels safe. She brings balance to every space she enters. Her calmness isn't weakness, it's mastery. She's the kind of woman who doesn't let anger dictate her actions. When she's hurt, she doesn't lash out. She takes a step back, reflects, and chooses clarity over chaos. She's emotionally intelligent enough to know that how she reacts defines her more than what happens to her. Life has taught her that sometimes the best response is no response. Not because she's passive, but because her peace is more valuable than proving she's right. She doesn't chase closure. She gives it to herself. She doesn't demand validation. She knows her truth is enough. This woman understands that emotional maturity is not about never feeling pain, but about not letting pain control you. A woman with emotional discipline doesn't make decisions in anger or confusion. She gives herself the gift of patience. She knows that emotions are like waves. They rise, they crash, but they also pass. And in those moments when she wants to react, she reminds herself, not every battle deserves my energy. She knows her energy is currency, and she refuses to spend it recklessly. When someone tries to provoke her, she doesn't give them the satisfaction of reaction, because she knows that when you control your emotions, you control the situation. She's learned that peace is not found in control over others. It's found in control over herself. And that's what makes her irresistible. The best men are drawn to her not because she's perfect, but because she's steady. Her energy feels like home, calm, grounded, and centered. She's not easily shaken, and she's not easily manipulated. She doesn't fall for emotional games or mixed signals, because she's already emotionally grounded. She listens more than she speaks, observes more than she reacts, and feels deeply without letting those feelings make her lose herself. In relationships, she communicates instead of arguing. She expresses instead of exploding. She listens to understand, not just to reply. When she's misunderstood, She explains with grace, and if she's not respected, she walks away with dignity. That's emotional power. She's not chasing control, she's practicing awareness. She knows that reacting from hurt can destroy what she values most. So she chooses emotional wisdom over emotional chaos. The woman who attracts the best men knows that emotional stability is magnetic. It speaks of strength, confidence, and self-respect. She's also learned that not everything deserves her peace. There are things that used to trigger her that now only get a calm smile. She's grown past the need to prove herself. She's no longer available for drama, gossip, or petty arguments. Her silence is her statement. Her composure is her strength. And the man who's emotionally mature enough will recognize that kind of grace and honor it. Because deep down, every man craves peace, and a woman who can hold herself with calm in a world that constantly tests her is unforgettable. She knows that her emotions are part of her beauty, but her control over them is part of her power. She doesn't suppress her feelings. She processes them. She journals, reflects, heals, and learns. She's not ashamed of being sensitive, because sensitivity with strength is wisdom. She knows how to love deeply without losing herself. She can express disappointment without disrespect. She can disagree without demeaning. Her maturity is what separates her from the rest. When life tests her, she doesn't crumble. She recalibrates. She doesn't let external chaos disturb her internal balance, because she knows that protecting her peace is a full-time job. And no matter how emotional she may feel, she never gives anyone the power to control her state of mind. That's what makes her powerful. The best men are drawn to her because she makes them feel safe, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. She doesn't bring storms, she brings clarity. So, when you see a woman who rarely reacts, who stays calm even when she's tested, know this. She's not emotionless. She's evolved. She's done the inner work to no longer let people pull her into emotional chaos. She's learned that the real flex is self-control, and that's what makes her energy divine. Because in a world that glorifies loud reactions and emotional outbursts, she stands out by her calm. Her silence speaks volumes. Her restraint reveals her strength. And her peace, that's her power. A woman with emotional discipline doesn't just attract the best men. She attracts the best life. Because everything she touches is guided by intention, not impulse. She's not controlled by emotion, she's guided by wisdom. And that's what makes her unforgettable. She keeps her standards high. Even when she's alone, a woman who keeps her standards high, even when she's alone, has mastered one of the most powerful forms of self-respect. She's not afraid of solitude because she understands that loneliness is not the absence of people. It's the absence of peace. And she would rather sit alone in peace than be surrounded by people who make her question her worth. This woman has learned that lowering her standards never creates love, it only creates pain. So she waits. Not with desperation, but with confidence. Not because she can't find someone, but because she refuses to lose herself for anyone. She knows what she brings to the table, and she's not afraid to eat alone until the right one sits beside her. This kind of woman doesn't settle for almost. She doesn't romanticize inconsistency or fall for potential. She values effort, honesty, and emotional safety more than charm and temporary attention. She's walked through enough disappointments to understand that peace is priceless and that love without respect is nothing more than chaos disguised as passion. So, she holds her standards, not because she's arrogant, but because she's done settling for less than she deserves. She's not chasing butterflies anymore. She's cultivating gardens. She's not impressed by promises. She's moved by consistency. She knows that being single is not a curse. It's a season of preparation. It's a time to grow, to heal, to build, and to reconnect with her own heart. Instead of filling her life with meaningless distractions, she fills it with purpose. She invests in her career, her health, her passions, and her peace. She uses this season to upgrade her life, her mindset, and her energy. Because she knows that the more she evolves, the more she attracts the kind of man who matches that growth. She doesn't rush the process. She trusts it. She knows that every delay has meaning, every closed door has direction, and every season alone is shaping her for something greater. Her standards are not built from pride. They are built from experience. She's been through relationships that drained her, friendships that broke her, and moments that tested her worth. And through all of that, she learned never again. Never again will she allow someone's lack of effort to make her question her value. Never again will she beg to be chosen when she knows she's already enough. Never again will she stay where she's not seen, heard, or valued. Her standards are her self-love in action. They are the boundaries that protect her from anything that threatens her peace. She understands that love should never feel like survival. She's not interested in chaos dressed as chemistry or inconsistency disguised as love. She's not impressed by how fast someone falls for her. She's interested in how well they stay. She knows that real love doesn't rush, manipulate, or confuse. Real love communicates, commits, and cares. That's why she doesn't lower her standards, because she's not chasing attention. She's waiting for intention. The man who's meant for her will not be intimidated by her boundaries. He'll be grateful for them. He'll respect the standard because he knows it protects the quality of love they can build together. A woman with high standards is not hard to love. She just refuses to be loved halfway. She doesn't settle for being an option in someone's life when she knows she's meant to be a priority. She's not impressed by attention that disappears after getting what it wants. She's not impressed by men who talk about love but can't sustain loyalty. She's learned that it's better to wait in silence than to settle in confusion. She'd rather spend her nights in peace than crying over someone who doesn't value her. Her solitude is not sadness. It's strength, because she knows that when you truly love yourself, you stop settling for anyone who makes you feel like you're too much or not enough. She doesn't chase closure, and she doesn't force connections. She's learned that what's meant for her will never need to be begged for. She doesn't waste energy convincing people to see her worth. She simply walks away. Because the woman who respects herself enough to walk away from what doesn't serve her is unstoppable. She doesn't hold grudges. She holds lessons. Every experience taught her something, and every heartbreak led her closer to herself. That's why she's no longer afraid of being alone. She's found comfort in her own company, and that's what makes her powerful. Men respect a woman who respects herself. The best men are drawn to women who hold themselves to a higher standard, not because they're difficult, but because they're clear. She doesn't need validation to know her value. She doesn't need approval to know she's worthy. Her energy says, I am not here to settle. I am here to align. And that's exactly what she attracts. Alignment, not attention. So yes, she's single, but she's not waiting. She's preparing. She's not bitter. She's focused. She's not closed off. She's just selective. She's not cold. She's careful. She's not lonely. She's loyal to her peace. And that makes her glow differently. That's why the best men notice her, because her energy stands out in a world full of desperation and settling. She's not easily impressed because she's already impressed with her own life. She doesn't need a man to complete her. She's complete already. She's just waiting for someone whose completeness matches her own. And when that man arrives, she'll recognize him instantly. Not by his words, but by his energy, calm, steady, intentional. Because the woman who keeps her standards high will always attract the man who rises to meet them. She knows her worth. She honors her peace. And she will never again apologize for expecting effort, consistency, and respect. That's not being demanding. That's being aware. So, if you're a woman listening to this, don't lower your standards just to feel loved for a moment. Stay true to yourself, even if it means walking alone for a while. Because the one who's meant for you won't make you question your worth. He'll remind you of it. Keep your standards high. Your solitude is sacred. It's non-negotiable. She inspires, not competes. There is something incredibly magnetic about a woman who doesn't feel the need to compete with anyone. She knows that real confidence isn't loud or forceful. It's rooted in the belief that who she is and what she carries is uniquely powerful. A woman who inspires rather than competes doesn't measure her worth beside another woman's success. She celebrates others because she's secure in her own lane. She understands that another woman's beauty, talent, or achievement is not a threat, It's proof that greatness is possible. She isn't intimidated by strong women, she's empowered by them. She knows that her power doesn't shrink when someone else shines. In fact, she believes in lighting the path for others while she rises too. The best men are drawn to a woman like this because her energy builds, not breaks. She isn't fighting for the spotlight, she becomes the light. She knows that true feminine strength is not about comparison, but about authenticity, grace, and a magnetic presence that uplifts everyone around her, especially the man who earns a place in her life. She doesn't chase validation from others because she's already validated herself. She's not interested in proving anything, she's interested in improving herself. She wakes up every day trying to be better than she was yesterday, not better than anyone else. Her focus is inward, not outward. She pours into her growth, her goals, and her peace. She understands that competition creates insecurity, but inspiration creates abundance. She knows exactly why she doesn't need to compete, because what she offers is one of a kind. Her aura is not built on comparison, it's built on self-belief. That's why she stands out. Not because she tries to, but because she is too busy evolving to worry about being noticed. And the right man sees that. He admires her self-assurance, her calm strength, her ability to elevate rather than attack. When she enters a room, she brings warmth, not tension. She compliments other women without hesitation because she knows genuine praise doesn't diminish her own value. She attracts peace and admiration because she gives it. Her presence does not create rivalry, it inspires growth. Men trust this kind of woman. They feel safe revealing their hopes and fears to her because she isn't a competitor in disguise. She's a partner. She inspires them to become better, not because she demands it, but because her energy naturally encourages it. She brings out the greatness in people simply by believing in her own. She doesn't need to push others down to stand tall. She rises while lifting others with her. She is rooted in her identity. She isn't trying to copy the next trend, mimic another woman's lifestyle, or chase someone else's idea of success. She builds her own brand of extraordinary. And that authenticity is what attracts the best men. The ones who are secure enough to admire a woman who shines. She doesn't play small to make others comfortable. She doesn't dim her light to avoid attention. She stands in her strength fully, without apology. Because she understands shrinking herself will never help her grow. And any man who is worthy of her won't be intimidated by her shine. He'll protect it, contribute to it, and glow right beside her. This woman isn't jealous, she's intuitive. She understands that jealousy only happens when you forget who you are. Instead of resenting other women, she's inspired by them. She's not obsessed with what others have. She's focused on what she is building. She doesn't waste time stalking someone else's life, because she's too invested in designing her own. She knows that energy flows where attention goes, so she gives her attention to her purpose, her dreams, and her evolution. She lives by one powerful truth: when you know your own worth, comparison becomes irrelevant. She also understands the power of connection. She forms friendships with women who elevate her mind, challenge her growth, and celebrate her wins. She chooses collaboration over competition. She knows that empowered women empower women. And the man she attracts will admire this quality, because he sees how she nurtures relationships, builds harmony, and creates environments for everyone to thrive. She is the kind of woman a man is proud to stand beside. Not because she needs him, but because she complements him. She doesn't try to outperform him or undermine him. She inspires him. She makes him believe in himself more deeply, dream bigger, love stronger, and grow continuously. She inspires love, not fear, growth, not doubt, support, not struggle. When life challenges her, she doesn't collapse into bitterness or insecurity. She rises stronger, more self-aware, and more determined. She leads with grace, even in silence, even in vulnerability, even in healing. She knows that true beauty comes from the heart, true confidence from the soul, and true attractiveness from character. And that's why the best men, the emotionally mature, secure, purpose-driven men, are drawn to her like gravity. Because a woman who inspires is rare, a woman who celebrates others is powerful, and a woman who knows her own magic is unstoppable. So if you want to attract the best kind of love, Be the woman who doesn't compete with anyone but who she was yesterday. Be the woman who invests in her growth, nurtures her peace, and honors her path. Because once you stop competing, you start glowing. And when you glow, you attract everything meant for you, including the man who sees your spirit, respects your heart, and builds a future with you, not against you. A woman who inspires is unforgettable, because she doesn't just attract the best men, she brings out the best in them. She moves with purpose, not desperation. There's something unshakably powerful about a woman who moves with purpose. She's not rushing through life searching for someone to complete her. She's building a life so fulfilling that love becomes a beautiful addition, not her only mission. She isn't desperate for attention, because she's too focused on intention. She doesn't chase validation, she chases growth. Her days are filled with goals, gratitude, and grace. When she walks into a room, her energy speaks for her, calm, centered, and sure. You can tell that she knows exactly where she's going, and she doesn't need anyone's approval to get there. This woman is not trying to be chosen. She's already chosen herself. And that energy, that quiet confidence, is magnetic. It's what draws the best men toward her, because purpose always attracts purpose. A woman who moves with purpose doesn't beg for love, she becomes love. She doesn't try to convince anyone to stay, because she's not afraid of people leaving. She understands that what's meant for her will always recognize her energy. She's not in a hurry to get into a relationship, because she knows that real connection can't be rushed. She would rather wait for something meaningful than waste time on something temporary. She's not moved by empty promises or instant chemistry. She's moved by consistency, by depth, by peace. She knows that desperation repels what she truly deserves, while patience and purpose align her with what's meant for her. She's learned that peace feels better than proving, and purpose feels better than attention. She's intentional with her words, her energy, and her presence. She knows that everything she does either builds her or breaks her, so she chooses wisely. She's not living on autopilot. She's living with awareness. She doesn't let external noise distract her from her internal compass. While others chase trends, she chases transformation. While others seek validation from likes and attention, she's focused on legacy, on creating something that will last beyond her. She's not chasing people. She's chasing purpose, and because of that, the right people chase her. The man who meets her will instantly feel the difference. She's not asking for completion. She's offering partnership. She's not a woman who waits to be saved. She's a woman who's already built herself, brick by brick, with resilience, vision, and self-love. Her purpose gives her peace. It keeps her grounded when life throws storms her way. She's not shaken by rejection, because she knows rejection often means redirection. She's not broken by endings, because she trusts that endings make space for better beginnings. She doesn't fall apart when someone leaves. She thanks them for teaching her, blesses the lesson, and moves forward with grace. She's not here to chase anyone who doesn't choose her. She's here to align with people and opportunities that are meant for her journey. She understands that desperation blinds you, but purpose refines you. And that's why she's so magnetic. Her peace is her power, her patience is her protection, and her purpose is her guide. A woman who moves with purpose doesn't operate from fear. She doesn't make choices out of loneliness or insecurity. She's learned to trust divine timing, to let life unfold as it should, not as she wishes it would. She doesn't rush seasons, she grows through them. She knows that the waiting season is not wasted time, it's preparation time. She uses it to evolve, to strengthen, to build herself emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. So when the right man enters her life, he doesn't meet a woman still searching for herself. He meets a woman who knows who she is, what she wants, and what she stands for. And that kind of woman doesn't just attract love, she attracts alignment. She doesn't allow anyone to make her feel like she's running out of time. She knows that everything real takes time to build: peace, purpose, love, legacy. She's not moved by society's timelines or other people's opinions. She doesn't compare her journey to anyone else's, because she knows her timing is divine. She's not looking for validation from the world, because her fulfillment comes from within. The best men notice her because her confidence doesn't come from ego, it comes from alignment. She's not performing, pretending, or competing. She's walking in purpose, and that makes her irresistible. This woman doesn't confuse business with purpose. She knows the difference between being productive and being present. She doesn't chase every opportunity. She chooses the ones that align with her values. She knows that saying no is sometimes the most powerful way to say yes to herself. Her purpose gives her clarity, and clarity gives her peace. She doesn't tolerate situations that drain her, people who confuse her, or environments that dull her shine. Her boundaries aren't barriers, they're self-respect in motion. And when she loves from fullness, not emptiness. She doesn't need love to fill a void. She gives love as an overflow of what she already feels inside. Her love is not desperate. It's divine. It's not built on fear. It's built on faith. She doesn't chase, control, or cling. She flows. She understands that what's meant for her won't require her to abandon herself to keep it. And that's why she attracts the best kind of man. A man who moves with the same sense of purpose, who values her peace, respects her pace, and contributes to her growth. A woman who moves with purpose doesn't need to shout her worth. She embodies it. Her silence carries power. Her consistency speaks louder than her words, and her energy commands respect without demanding it. She's not desperate for attention. She's devoted to her mission. She's not trying to fit in. She's creating her own lane. And because of that, she inspires everyone around her to rise. She reminds the world that you don't find purpose. You become it. You don't attract love by begging for it. You attract it by being whole. So, to every woman listening, stop rushing. Stop doubting. Stop chasing what's not aligned with your peace. Move with intention. Build your dreams. Heal your heart. Protect your energy. And trust that the right man will find you on your path of purpose, not on your path of desperation. Because the truth is, a woman who moves with purpose never needs to chase love. Love naturally follows her. And when it does, it won't take her off her path, it'll walk beside her. Because that's what happens when a woman chooses purpose. She doesn't just attract the best men. She attracts the best version of life itself.